adesso svegliamo tutti con un po' di liberato. Ho fatto uscire un film al cinema vecchio, ho fatto uscire un film al cinema a Napoli, film si dà un modo per non so cazzo, sono commenti di perché il film, ma dopo 2 anni anche le canzoni mi sono mettete il cambio. No, basta, no, altri sono uno, non mi interessa fare una differenza. Due, paese che lei una stanza da fare guardare e ci sta,
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this first game of the Elite Invite. We have today Jinx against Iceni. Jinx out of Berlin, Iceni out of London. Looks like the teams are just getting ready to go here. So yeah, excited to have you along for the ride. Hopefully we will see some great ultimates to start our Friday morning. I will be having a look at the stream chat as we go through. So if you do have any questions for me, if you have questions about the game, feel free to pop them there. Or if you have my number, you can always text me. Now, on the stream today, as we can see, we have Jinx in white. This is Jinx's first tournament of the year. So starting a little bit later than the rest of the teams here at the Elite Invite. We see their O-line taking the field. Obviously, we'll expect big things from Anna Gerner, I believe number 17, for this Jinx team, kind of central handler for both Jinx and the German women's national team, who won Tom's tourney last weekend. There's also a plethora of additions to the Jinx roster, coming from a few places around Europe. So we have Sarah Melvin, who I believe is number 3 on this O-line, and Lev Kowalczak as well, making the short trip up from somewhere between Hamburg and Berlin. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Jinx integrate those players. And on the Iceni side, I know they started the year pretty hot at the spring tour in London, coming out with a win there over teams like Moon Cup and Bristol, missing a couple of players today due to kind of logistics. So they are a little bit of a shorter roster, and those players will be coming, but we're into the action here. Levka initiating, hitting Sarah Melvin up to Sophie Rumpelt, and a pretty smooth start for the Jinx offense. Working it through the handlers now, and I believe that is point number 1 and goal number 1 for Sarah Melvin at the front of the end zone. No surprises there for anyone who's been watching Sarah Melvin for many years. Made the kind of comeback to playing after a couple of years of coaching in the open division with Ranelagh. Last year, she was in the mixed division with the Irish mixed national team. But this is the first time that she's playing on the women's club scene since 2019. Obviously, a pretty tough year at the top in terms of being European Player of the Year that year in 2019 and winning the EUC tournament with Ireland as well. But looks like she's off to a great start with Jinx here. We'll get to have a look at the Iceni O-line now for the first time. And I'm sure their D-line will have chats, talk about how they can apply just a little bit more pressure to that Jinx O-line. Looks like pretty perfect conditions over in Leuven, as we see Iceni get started. I believe that's Fiona Kwan as the main handler with Maddie Leung. Swinging it around the back a little bit. Looks like some pretty tight match defense from Jinx. Looking to just get their legs under them and apply some pressure from point 1. Lovely inside break there. And now Iceni off to the races a little bit. Fiona Kwan, almost every other pass here. Considers the long down the line. Oh, great grab there on the swing. Leung. A great shot into the end zone over the defense. Incredible bid. Doesn't quite connect. Maybe just kind of first point early in the morning, still getting their legs under them. But some really nice offense from Iceni there. Jinx applying pressure, but Iceni finding ways to get a reset off, looking pretty fluid in terms of the handlers and cutters switching in and out. So positive signs for the Iceni defense. But yeah, or the Iceni offense. We'll see how the Jinx defense looks. Looks like they're setting up in a 1-6 to start, trying to generate some flow here. Immediately looks back at the handler. Oh, and we had an underpass, just a little bit of a drop from Jinx, and Iceni will take over again just outside their attacking end zone. Fiona Kwan immediately looks down the line. Slightly contested, there's a bit of a bobble, but great second effort catch from the Iceni player there, and that is 1 apiece. as I was saying, pretty perfect weather conditions over in Leuven by the looks of it. Around 16 or 17 degrees early in the morning, so I'm sure it will heat up as we go. But you couldn't really ask for much more in terms of the weather to kick off the day. And we'll see Jinx taking the field for their second offensive point here. Jinx again with a connection that I'm sure we'll see a lot. Gerner up to Melvin, and now Simona Lieberth on the disc. She looks reset. Nice leading throw out to Anna Gerner. And a little bit isolated here. Throws it out to space. I believe that's Lena von Stiebut with the grab there. Jinx a really athletic team, especially on this O-line. It's always nice when your margin for error is a little bit higher as a thrower. You can just kind of put it out to space and trust that the athlete will make the play. Incredible throw from Anna Gerner there, across the field all the way to, I believe that's Sarah Melvin again for her second goal. A little bit harder to see here on the video, so bear with me if I do get names wrong. I apologize to both the teams and anyone watching at home. But an incredible crossfield shot there from Anna, and Jinx take the 2-1 lead. Looks like Jinx coming out in a bit of a zone here on Iceni's second offensive points. Iceni working through it quite well, but then have a missed throw, which gives Jinx their second opportunity to convert a break here. Working it around well at the back. I believe that is Uda Humlong throwing a backhand hook to Rika Wagner. Slightly at the sideline this time. Humlong looked a little bit frustrated with herself, but early in the season, as a D-line, I think you have a little bit more kind of leeway to take some shots and try to get the break. So I'm sure she will dial that in as the weekend goes on, but Iceni picking up again, facing into this Jinx zone, a little bit of communication, trying to get more people back behind the disc. This zone does look like it's trying to create a bit of a numerical advantage for the defense in that short space, but Iceni working through it really well now. Swinging it nicely. We see Leung getting on disc again, picking some nice passes through the zone. Now Iceni almost up to the end zone. There's a fire call from Jinx, which I imagine was the transition, but just a little bit too late. and Iceni score on their second try of asking. That's 2 points in a row now, where Iceni have had what we'd refer to as a dirty hold, having a turnover, getting the disc back, and then punching it in. Always good to see that your O-line can play good defense early in the year, and even if they are going to turn over, that they will get the disc back. Jinx looking a little bit cleaner on the offensive side, have managed to isolate space quite well for their really athletic cutters. And yeah, we'll see if that continues. The goal there, I'll correct myself on the last Jinx goal. It was Gerner to Lewandowska. And the Iceni goal was Maddie Lung upline from Maya Aurora Johnson, who I believe Maya, a Swedish player joining the team this year, straight onto the offensive line. And from speaking to some of the Iceni players, really excited to have her along and see her kind of progress as part of the team. Rumpelt fielding up to Gerner, a bit of a split stack look here for Jinx, giving lots of time and space to Volshak. Melvin gets about 25 yards of separation there and dishes a nice little lefty to Gerner, who rushes up the sideline. Iceni really going to have to figure out some sort of system for preventing those pull plays from Jinx. I think any team in the division is going to struggle to match up one-to-one when you have space for players like Volshak and Melvin and throwers like Gerner throwing to them. So I'd be interested to see if Iceni do come out with anything different, maybe try and make them go to their second option. They did do well there. They shut down the initial cut from Volshak, but she just cleared back into the space that she'd created, and Gerner managed to get the throw off. A lot of trust there already built up despite not playing any games between those two. So really impressive offense from Jinx here. They haven't really looked like turning over yet. One slightly high grab on that point for Melvin from the shot from Volshak, but no trouble for her. So yeah, interested to keep an eye on that from the Iceni defense, and we'll see if their offense can clean it up a little bit and get their D-line back on the field as soon as possible. Centering up to Leung again. Again, more of a poachy look from Jinx here. Oh, great little find through the middle there for Iceni. I think that was really what the defense was looking for, just having a sniff at a block early on in the points. The zone really collapsed around that first pass through the middle, trying to get that block. And once that didn't come off, there was a free player in Fiona Kwan moving out to the end zone, which you're never going to turn down. She makes the grab under a little bit of pressure, but a much nicer offensive hold from Iceni. Good to see Jinx trying out different looks. I think in the past would have been maybe more of a match defense focused team, but looking to incorporate some poaching sets and some zones. Ian French, infamous coach of the Irish women's national team, and Ranelagh, as well as many, many other teams over the past few years, is certainly involved with Jinx this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some Frenchy influence on their kind of defensive systems. Really excited to see how they develop as a team in those kind of systems over the season. We see the O-line taking the field again. Bread and butter, looking to center it up to Gerner. This time, Van Stubert keeps the disc. Great defensive pressure on the handlers there. Gerner managing to slip away at the last second. Swings across to Melvin. Jinx content to reset Walshak at the front, creating a bit of space and throwing a lovely inside break. Levka really keen to get the disc moving as much as possible, always throwing and immediately setting off for the return pass. Really gives great flow to the offense. We see Rumpelt looking downfield there, but unable to connect with Greta Meliga, who does lay out, but it bounces off her hands. So first turn from the Jinx O-line. Let's see what their defense looks like, and let's see what this Iceni defensive line looks like. Always tough if you haven't had many touches of the disc initially, but a lovely inside break to get things started there. Bailey Melvin Tang looking for the reset, but slightly behind the receiver. So Jinx take over once again. Rumpelt with a lovely flick out into space, and Gerner collects for the goal. Really impressive throw from Sophie Rumpelt there. One of the players that won Tom's tourney last week with the German women's national team. I think has, from what I've seen, been an incredible kind of defender and athletic cutter, but clearly adding a few impressive throws to her arsenal as well. A lovely kind of leading flick against what looked like a kind of front force, got it out into space for Gerner to run onto at her leisure. So Jinx do take the lead again. That is 4-3 to Jinx. Goal for Gerner. We all know about the additions to this Jinx Midnight roster. Obviously, Paulina Lewandowska was briefly living in Tenerife, I believe, is living in Berlin for the summer. We have Uda Humlung coming down from Sweden. Marta Ortiz Aneros, another Guayota past player. Sarah Melvin, Levka Walshak. So lots of change in terms of the roster, but of course some things will never change. Anna Gerner with 3 total stats so far, 2 goals and an assist. So will still certainly be a fulcrum for that offensive unit. But nice to see some new names as well, filling up the stats sheet. We see Jinx again coming down with this Zony kind of poachy look. Iceni looking over the top once again. A lovely shot. I believe again that's Fiona Kwan. This time not quite in the end zone. Has to feed one more pass. The Jinx zone applying pressure well around the handler space, but Iceni managing to find a way through either to the middle or to the wings. And it does seem like the Jinx players are a little bit caught out in terms of their downfield positioning. If the zone is aggressive and you're trying to stand kind of between your player and the disc on defense, those kind of shots through the zone to that second layer are really dangerous, because then you're horribly positioned for the deep shot. We've seen it a couple times now, specifically looking for Fiona Kwan. So perhaps an adjustment needed either just on Fiona's player or in the kind of positioning of the zone in general. Of course, it's early season. This is, I'm sure, a development tournament for many of these teams. And so, it's pretty perfect weather here. So those deep shots are certainly on. Maybe you're still kind of committed to positioning your zone defenders as if it was a little bit windier or a little bit tougher conditions, and you want them to be aggressive and take away that deep. So we'll see how it does develop over the course of the game. But Iceni's O-line have really settled into it, and their D-line did apply a bit more pressure in the last point, so we'll see how they do here. Just as I requested, they must have heard me. Iceni coming out in more of a zony look. And a turnover early doors, short field turn, great block from Iceni there, and they have an incredible chance to get a break in this game and really turn things on their head. Easy goal at the front of the stack, and that's 5-4 to Iceni, slightly against the run of play, but they brought out a new kind of defensive look, and with Jinx not playing any kind of previous tournaments, it being their first kind of weekend together as a team against other competition, perhaps you'd expect a few issues when teams kind of change it up against them. I would hope to see a good response here from Jinx in terms of kind of identifying what the issues were there, but nothing majorly concerning from the Olan's perspective, I'm sure. We'll see if Iceni decide to put that back in the locker and save it for later, or if they want to press their advantage here and continue to use that zone set. Jinx taking the field again. That pull sailing out of bounds gives them just a little bit more time to get set up with their offense. Doesn't look like any major changes to personnel. We have Meliga and Liebert downfield, two really tall, athletic receivers. Levka also down there. I believe this is Von Stubert picking it up and swinging with Gerner and Rumpelt also at the back. There's a little bit of a gap in the zone, and it looks like the Iceni defense has melted into person already. And an immediate deep shot. Oh, great throw there. Just slides out of the receiver's hand. It looked like she had it for a second. Maybe a slightly slippery disc. Good pressure from the defense to make her go up a little bit earlier than she probably wanted for that. And a lovely around break to get this defensive offense started for Iceni. Very cheeky high release inside flick. Now Jinx have locked down just a little bit more, but still quite a bit of space for some of the players downfield. Meliga coming in on the mark here. Apologies if I am talking more about the Jinx players. Their number is just slightly easier to see than some of these Iceni folks. It does look like Fiona Kwan has crossed over to defense here for Iceni, so they'll be looking to work through her. Oh, and a leading flick just out of the hands of the defender. That's another break for Iceni, and they go up 6-4 in this one. Looks like there is a timeout being taken by Jinx here, just to discuss what they're seeing out there, take a breath. And with that, I will take a little bit of a timeout as well, just to get some water, and we'll be back with you in a few moments. So Iceni with a really fast start in this first half. Speaking to Iceni before, I think they obviously identified the Jinx, an extremely athletic and skilled team, but didn't want to be afraid of them at all. Just going out and putting maximum effort. Still missing a few of their players who are traveling to the tournament at the moment. I know Lucy Barnes, Emma Healy, and a couple of others are en route at the moment, so they'll be happy to have the reinforcements. But perhaps a bit of a mental challenge to that D line to go out there and just throw everything they have at this game, because there are kind of players joining after. Oh, a slight overthrow there. Looks like. Oh my God! What an incredible play! I thought that was an overthrow. I'm wrong to doubt the Jinx O line. Slightly overshot the first receiver, but an incredible pickup on the second effort, laying out through the defender to make the grab for the goal. And yeah, that's what O lines need to do, back each other up. So great play there. As I was saying, yeah, the Iceni team obviously missing a few players, but as a coach, potentially framing it, I know Jamie Rabbit's coaching this year with Iceni. I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of gave his players full license to go out and kind of empty the tank, knowing that they have 5 or 6 people who are coming for the next game. The schedule quite forgiving as well. Just 6 games over 3 days. I think many of us used to playing 6 or 7 over 2. So giving players a little bit more time to recover in between games, really maximizing the quality of these reps for the teams. 6-5 now to Iceni. The Jinx D-line has managed to put on a good amount of pressure in terms of getting turns early in the game, at least. Has slowed down a little bit now, but we'll need to start not just getting the turns, but generating some breaks on the turn. We have Rika Wagner pulling now, and Jinx, I'm sure, will be hungry for some more blocks. Looks like Iceni coming out in a side stack to start. Great defense from Fenya there, getting down on the pull and completely shut down Maddie Leung, trying to get the centering pass, which led to a little bit more kind of pressure on that initial handler. Lovely break here to Rika Wagner. Looks like Jinx with a leading pass over everybody into that space. Rika Wagner, visionary throw. And an incredible grab again from Jinx. This is what we expect from them. Not just incredible throwers, but incredible athletes. That's 2 times now where it's a bit of a 50-50 play between the defense and offense, and the Jinx player just showing a little bit more hunger to go up and get the disc. We saw it from Liebert on the last grab for their O-line, now seeing it for the D-line as well. So much better points. All started with that pull chase, putting the pressure on the handlers from the outset. And then we see Rika Wagner throwing to Marlena Muller for the first break of the game for Jinx, leading us to 6-6. So Iceni still up just the 1 break. So if they can hold out to half here, they will get the advantage of starting on offense again. But great to see Jinx applying some more pressure, making this game interesting for all you fans at home. Again, we have a side stack from Iceni, this time managing to center the disc and also to get that first pass off to the initiating cutter. No continuation though from the downfield, so cutter has to cycle all the way back into the backfield. And a slight overthrow there. Great pressure again from Jinx. Every option completely shut down, forcing them to look at difficult throws, and they're going quickly here on the turn as well. Again, attacking the break side. This is Marta Ortiz, who I believe was potentially the fastest player at the Jinx trial when they tested the 40-yard dashes. A slight misthrow there from the Jinx D-line, and it looks like Iceni are keen to get off to the races immediately. A lovely deep shot from Young. Iceni just outside the end zone, get a nice little pop off, and it looks like we have a pick call. Does that affect? Looks like the disc is going back. Fiona Kwan surveys the field from approximately 1 yard outside the end zone, right in the middle. You'd be pretty confident that she can find a scoring pass. But good defense from Jinx again, pressuring the downfield. Looks like a pick in the stack. Iceni did manage to get a reset off, so they'll have the disc again. Just needing that 1 more yard to score, but Jinx not making it easy for them. Self-check here. Believe that is Hannah Buddy on the disc, shimmying to try and create some space, and throws the around break. Great around backhand. Marta Ortiz in the area, but not able to put enough pressure on to get the disc there. That is Hannah Buddy with the throw to Erin McGreedy for the Iceni hold. So 7-6 now to Iceni. So we will see the Jinx O-line taking the field for the last time this half. If they want to go in on serve, they'll need to hold here and then generate another break, centering up to Gerner in a side stack with Volshak isolated in the lane. Incredible cut from Levka, and then so much separation for Sarah Melvin. Levka never won to turn down a hook option. I think Sarah Melvin knows this pretty well. And even though she was quite deep there, had tons of separation and knows that Levka loves to boost it. So hangs out, makes the grab. Easy goal for Jinx. Part 1 done. Go out and get the offensive hold. Now part 2 is generate a break to get it back on serve going into half. I'd be interested to see if they do make any personnel changes, if they bring any of those O-line athletes over to the D-line. And for Iceni, just go out there, do your thing, don't change anything. Fiona Kwan has been essential for this Iceni team so far. 4 assists and a goal already. They only have 7 points, so she's made up 5 of them. Very impressive showing from her, so I'd be interested to see what Jinx look to do to try and limit her, force Iceni to play through some of their other players on that line. We can see a rapid chase coming here from Marta Ortiz. It does look like we have Levka Walshak crossing over, so maybe just the single crossover, and that is a hand block from Uda Humlong. Got a big paw on that attempted around break. And again, Jinx coming out in this 1-6. Oh, first pass to Rika Wagner is a little high, but she manages to collect on the second effort. Throws to Levka Walshak. Looked like for a second she had a quick glance behind her, potentially scared of a defender coming in and making a bit of contact. Took her eye off the disc and it just bounces out. So Jinx going to have to force yet another turn if they want a chance at this break. Disc is centered, and now with Fiona Kwan, who is looking big. No option there. Great pressure at the front of the stack from Rika Wagner, but Kwan manages to find an outlet. Leong working hard for yards, and again looking for that big flick hook. We've seen her throw that on a couple of occasions, and an incredible grab to take half for Iceni. That's a big statement, big grab over Lev Kovalchuk. Jinx had their chance there to convert the break and take half. It does look like there's a little bit of discussion in terms of the play between Leong and Ortiz, but I don't think it is going to impact the outcome of that point. So the Leong sisters connecting on a deep shot for that hold and for half, 8-7 to Iceni. What a start. If you are looking for entertaining ultimate on a Friday morning, a really clean game from both sides there, especially given it's the first weekend. So yeah, we'll see Jinx starting on defense yet again to start the second half, and we will be back in a few moments to watch that. While we are on this halftime mini break, I will have a look at some of the other scores. It seems like pretty much everything is streamed this weekend, so maybe this is kind of null and void, but I will have a look just for my own interest, as well as to keep you all informed. Close games around the complex. Jet Set Love and Moon Cup are tied at 6s. East Block and Shout tied at 7 as well. So really close there. It looked like East Block started on offense and got an early break. Shout getting that break back. There's a few more breaks in that game than there are over here, but it looks like 7-7 playing for half now. The other game in Women's Pool B is Box and Yaka. Yaka 7-5 up in that one. So close games all round, exactly what you'd expect from the Elite Invite. These are the best teams in Europe, but we will take you back live now with Iceni and Jinx. Iceni coming out on offense, looking to cement that kind of double break that you get from having a break in the first half. Leong with the disc, looking for an option. Fiona Kwan, ever the outlet there, managing to wriggle free again. Lovely upline, and Leong has not hesitated to throw that flick at all today. Again, throwing it deep. A little bit too much float on that one. Perhaps it is coming out a little bit more IO than she intended, and it hangs up. Incredible pressure from the defense and effort to chase down a receiver who had a good amount of separation. Two Jinx players there, and one of them gets the block. Jinx again picking up with this 1-6 formation. Looks like Iceni have realized that they're playing this 1-6 and perhaps looking to surround that stack a little bit more, but Jinx do manage to get things moving. Looking across the break side, nice throw out there. Nice quick movement, no one holding the disc for too long. A nice upfield backhand, and she manages to keep the foot in down Uda Humlong. Coming back in on the sideline. Jinx working nicely down the field, knowing when to press it down the open side and when to look for those swings. Looking a little bit clogged up now. She has the break side free, puts a shot into the end zone. Really intelligent play there from the Jinx handler. I'll find out the number there in 2 seconds. I believe that was Flora Scala, who is one of the kind of defensive standouts on this team. But smart play there, got late in the stall, was looking back for the reset and saw that the Iceni mark started to kind of circle mark, just try to pressure as much of the kind of reset throw as possible, leaving the break side of the field wide open. No one really made a move from the Jinx downfield, but Flora throwing it out into the space where her players would have the positional advantage and trusting one of them to make a play. That's exactly what they do. And Hannah Schrempf coming down with that disc in the end zone for the early second half break for this Jinx team. That takes it to 8-8. They will need at least one more break to get this back on serve. Iceni do have the slight advantage. If they hold out from here, they will win the game. But good start to the second half for that Jinx D-line. Rika Wagner with the pull. Nice pull that will be collected again by Maddie Long. Looking for that initiation move. The chase a little bit slower to get down, but actually effectively shuts down the first cutting option with that. Looks like there's not much help from the O-line, and another shot into space that doesn't quite have the touch needed. And Rika Wagner manages to catch up and get the block. Jinx showing that when it is a bit of a 50-50 ball, they fancy themselves. Lovely move there from Rika to open up some space with her legs in the reset space. Oh, huge throw going up from the lefty handler looking for Marta. And Marta had about 30 yards of separation when that cut started, only about 2 when it ended. But that's all she needs. And Marta takes down the goal for Jinx. Marlena Muller with a huge lefty hook there. Really impressive kind of throwing range. And Marta does well to position herself well, make the grab under pressure from a couple of Iceni defenders who peeled off to try and help. Iceni here, looking good on offense for the first half, really seem to have settled into their rhythm. It seems now like a couple of those hooks have hung up maybe longer than they wanted. And Jinx starting to apply a little bit more pressure. I've been impressed with the Jinx pressure in the handler space. I think that's kind of forced a couple of these options. They're making these handlers work harder, and as the pressure builds, handlers looking for some release valves in those hooks just to kind of get the disc downfield. Hasn't worked out the last couple of times, so we'll see if Iceni can adjust on their O-line or if Jinx will continue to apply that sort of pressure. Lovely initiating cut from Iceni, but slightly overshoots once again. Really nice move from the cutter to come around the stack into that open lane, but the throw just slightly too high. It does look like Iceni starting to feel some of the pressure now, and Jinx wasting no time. A audacious hammer into the end zone for the receiver to capitalize on another break. Fenia throwing that to Flora Scala. Flora on the throwing end a couple of points ago for that first break after half, now on the receiving end. And Jinx looking like the team in the driver's seat here. They go up 10-8 and certainly have the momentum. Wouldn't be surprised to see a timeout call from Iceni here, but it looks like they are putting their line back out in the field. Of course, did mention that there are a few players that are still en route to the tournament for Iceni. Perhaps this is to be expected in terms of a slight dip in performance towards the kind of middle or end of the game, without quite as many numbers as the Jinx roster. But they'll be disappointed to have let this one slip a little bit. Still plenty of time to go in this game. We're not a Tom's tourney anymore. Games aren't going to end at 10-8, so they'll go all the way to 15. And we'll see if Iceni can steady the ship here on offense and get that D-line that was playing so well in the first half back out to try and notch some breaks. Quan and Leong in the backfield again for Iceni. They really trust those two in the handler space. So no changes there. Iceni working down the open side nicely. And a really nice cut there. I think many coaches back home and many teams have probably heard that you shouldn't throw hooks from the same third into the same third. But the rules really go out the window at this level. The level of skill of these throwers and of these athletes downfield is such that you can throw same third hooks if you want, as clearly evidenced there by the Iceni team. Managing to work down the four side well. Jinx applying pressure, but not really able to shut anyone down in the lane. And we see the double cut there for the goal to steady the ship for Iceni. That was Yasmin Gill throwing to Erin McGreedy, who I believe has her third goal of the game. So McGreedy really showing herself off as one of the top receivers for this Iceni side. Big pull goes up from Jinx. Gerner getting things going around the brick mark. It's Meliga on the first cut. Looks like a slightly poachy set from this Iceni team. Bit of a wall and more match defense downfield. Melvin coming back into the backfield to add a little bit of additional support, and now just hanging out behind that wall defense. Volshak gets the lateral pass and then finds the downfield option to Melvin, who does reset to Gerner. Gerner then ejecting from the handler space as soon as the transition call comes. What a throw that was. I believe that was Lena van Stebut. Maybe I'm wrong there. I will double check. But an amazing IO backhand. Love the recognition there from Jinx. Palina Lewandowska again. Sorry, just getting used to the numbers here. And number 55 for Jinx, Palina Lewandowska with an incredible IO backhand to Anna Gerner, who ejected from the handler space as soon as the transition call came. Lewandowska having a really impressive first game for the Jinx team. Has played on the Eurostars tour, and an incredible thrower, slotting into this O-line really nicely. I think perhaps in the past you would say that Jinx were slightly over-reliant on Gerner in terms of kind of throwing prowess, and they've certainly added some players who have some kind of additional throwing skill, but also, you know, the Jinx players that we know and love that have been there for many years seem to have leveled up. So a more balanced offensive style from what I've seen so far, which is always really exciting for the Jinx team, I'm sure. Again, I do apologise to any players that I get the names wrong in this first game. The camera's a little bit further away than perhaps we're used to for commentary, and the juxtaposition of the light and the numbers on the shirts makes it a little bit tough with the glare. So sincere apologies if I do get your name wrong during this broadcast. Something that we'll be looking to improve on. But Lewandowski with some great throws so far, so I certainly won't be getting that one wrong again. Iceni starting their offense here. A nice initiation cut again. Fiona Kwan manages to hit it easily this time and has now moved out towards the deep space. Maddie Lung making moves in the reset space but can't quite get free, forcing her thrower to send up a little bit of a questionable shot. I'm sure that was high stall on Rika Wagner, with yet another block. We're not tracking blocks on the stats board today, but if we were, I'm sure she would be top of the list. I think that's her second or third one. Now moving downfield to get that big under for this Jinx D-line O. She leads Fenya down the line again across the field to Rika, and that is a second goal for Marta. Using that speed again to generate some separation to the break side, and Jinx's D-line offense looking really smooth here now. Took a couple of tries to get their legs under them in the first half, but looking really confident and really strong as we go through this game. That's yet another break for the Jinx D-line, and Iceni have to take the long walk back to play O again, 12-9 to Jinx. If we take a quick look elsewhere in Women's Pool A, Jet Set and Moon Cup still tied at 9s. East Block inching ahead of BFD Shout, 9-8 to East Block. And in the other game in this pool, Yaka have extended their lead over Box to 10-6. Looks like that was a bricked pull. I actually never saw it appear on the screen, but Leong walking it up with purpose to the brick mark now, where I believe she'll be met with Marlena Muller on the mark. Slight miscommunication about where to tap the disc in. She walks it up another few yards, cuts to both sides, but that one's slightly too low there. I believe that was Christy Toe on the reception. Jinx got the disc but gave it back pretty quickly, and Iceni will have a second chance to work downfield. Oh, incredible pressure from Uda Humlong. There is an incredible bid from Christy Toe to try and keep the play alive. Looks like down was called. From my not so great perspective, it did look like that might have just touched the turf before she got her hand under it, but incredible effort from Toe to keep the disc alive for that Iceni offense. Jinx wasting no time going the other direction. A flick hook to the sideline. Again, incredible effort to try and keep it in, but not quite enough space on that sideline to keep the feet down in bounds. So helter-skelter here from both teams. Like to see someone perhaps slow it down a little bit and take their time a little bit more. Iceni getting started on now again. Lovely cut out to this near side, great pace, and they look to go the other way. A lovely flick hook. That one has beautiful touch out in front. The receiver can run onto it at their leisure. We have Toe on the goal line here, looking for a reset. Finds one. number 87, Felicia Chang, hits Leung and then goes down the line. And I believe that there is some discussion here about that goal. The camera deciding to give all 14 players on the pitch their privacy as they discuss this call. But it looked like a give-go from Chang to Leung. Chang then ejecting down the upline space. There's always going to be some poaching defenders, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was a contest for that disc, perhaps a foul call from Chang. But we'll see how the players resolve it. Looks like the camera is panning back and we have a turnover here. So a clean block and some slapped hands for Chang. So perhaps a retracted call there from the Iceni offensive unit. Marlena Muller looks for that lethal around flick, using her lefty advantage, can't quite connect with Malaga. And here we go again, Iceni's offense, a little bit stuck on the sideline right now. Phoebe Cho does swing into the middle, but an incredible block there from Marlene Muller, getting up and swatting it away. She immediately is available for the big downfield under, swings to Malaga, who gets it out to Humlong here on this near side, fakes the big backhand that she threw earlier on as we pause for a pick in the stack. We hear shouts of somebody's poached from the Jinx sideline. Malaga with a beautiful move upfield, and then Marlena Muller leads her into the space. Malaga pops it into the end zone. Incredible effort there from the Iceni defense to go and get the disc back. We're at 3 turns each, I believe, in this point, but Iceni showing just as much hunger as if it was the first possession. Phoebe Toe there had the turnover earlier on, getting the disc back for her team. Really impressive defensive effort there. Leung trapped on the sideline. The no around mark from Jinx. Malaga or Humlong looking to make a play there on defense. Maybe a little bit of contact that Iceni weren't too happy with, but they continue to play and keep the flow going. Looking like they're making some additional yards now. Anna Nosovic throws into the middle of the pitch, and there is a foul call. That one uncontested immediately. Those ones always tough, throwing against the grain back into the center of the pitch where there is a little bit of traffic. You can see why defenders are looking to make the plays there, but at the same time have to be cautious and kind of conscious of people's safety. So good spirit there from Marlena Muller to uncontest that call. I think has every right to go for the bid, but maybe a little bit too much contact for Christy Toe. They do give it right back to them, so Jinx will take over here with just over half the field to go. A nice leading backhand, good feet from Uda Humlong to keep the disc in. Lots of pressure here. Looks like a flick force, but shading slightly more towards a flat one on the sideline just to apply more pressure on the reset. A nice grab there on the near sideline for Jinx. And now moving with authority down the pitch. Humlong again finds herself involved in the action, looking for a reset to Malaga, who immediately resets it back to Humlong. Nice athletic effort there from the Jinx receiver. Was led out into the space to the open side outside the end zone, but decided to get her feet up. Clara, I'm not going to pronounce that name, her hold perhaps, does make the play, jumping it into the end zone for her first goal of the game and for another break for this Jinx team. That one took a little bit longer, but both teams showing that even if the offensive chemistry wasn't there on every possession, that they were going to work hard on defense. Some incredible athletic blocks there, and some good spirit from both teams as well, with some retracted and uncontested calls. So lots to take away from this game from both teams, but clearly still hungry for the win and fighting for every point. if you are not familiar with the format of the Elite Invite, all of these teams will be going to quarters. It's simply a matter of seeding. So you do have license to try a few different things as a team in the group stage, with a view to kind of maybe locking it up a little bit more as you get into the bracket play. Jinx coming out in a slightly poachier set to start. Does look like there are some O-line faces that have crossed over for this point. I believe I see Anna Gerner out there. Marta Ortiz has been a great presence on the D-line, generating lots of pressure. Iceni with a beautiful put out. I believe that was Fiona Kwan again with the flick hook into the back corner of the end zone. The Jinx defense chases, but can't quite close the gap to get the block. So a nice hold from Iceni, looked calm and confident out there, and nice to steady the ship, bring the score to 13-10. Pull goes up from Iceni, 13-10 in this game. Anna Gerner picks up, immediately hits Sarah Melvin. Iceni calling out each number of pass. Looks like they got to 4 and they have melted into a match defense. Rumpelt finds Gerner in the center of the pitch. Again, Rumpelt coming back for the continuation pass and is looking for her reset. Good job by Iceni to pressure the reset and force her to throw upfield. It did look like there was a hand on that throw, either on the hand or on the disc. It looks like they're discussing whether it was legal. Turnover. Looks like Rumpelt agrees that it did not impact the play. So great pressure there, and the Handler defender immediately striking deep, looking for her bookends. Let's see how the Iceni D-line does. Oh, looks like a miscommunication there between the reset and the thrower, but with enough touch on the throw that somebody else can go back and save it. Oh, incredible defense there. Layout D from Simona Liebert gets it back for her team. Really an energetic talisman of this O-line, always keeping the mood high and putting her body on the line for the team there. Gerner picks up on the sideline. No mark, really. The mark a few steps off at least. So just trying to limit the throwing options that Gerner has. Melvin now at the back, swinging around with Volshak. Lewandowska involved in the play as well. And they managed to swing the disc around and then generate some downfield movement, and Jinx have scored again. Lewandowska and Gerner really seem to be developing quite a partnership in the backfield. That's something to keep an eye on. Obviously, Lewandowska new to the team, but Jinx, after a little bit of a blip on offense there, have managed to secure the hold, and that brings us to 14-10. Anna Gerner hitting Masha Tereshina for the goal. So 14-10 here. It's all over if Jinx can go out there and break one more time. Iceni, of course, will be looking to prevent that. Then the other game in this pool, Box are 14-8 down to Yaka. So it looks like Yaka have that one mostly wrapped up. Moon Cup and Jet Set still very close, 11-10 to Moon Cup now. And East Block have extended their lead by 1 to 12-10 over Shout. So close games all around. The next round of games in this pool, in Pool B, is Jinx Midnight taking on Yaka. So the two teams leading at the moment with Iceni and Box. So be sure to tune in. I believe the Jinx Yaka game will be streamed. I'm sure that will be a barn burner. Iceni taking over here on offense. Again, Jinx looking to potentially poach initially, but there is a receiver that is left wide open deep, and you just cannot afford to do that when Fiona Kwan has the disc, because she will punish you, and she certainly does that, throwing laser of a flick out to the end zone for her receiver just to stroll onto for the goal. So that is 14-11. That's the last time we'll see the Iceni O-line playing O to start. It looks like that was Hannah Leung again. She's been a big target for this Iceni O-line. 3 goals now in the game for both herself and Erin McGreedy. So 2 receivers to watch. 6 assists for Fiona Kwan. Really impressive display. Slightly more spread out along Jinx stats board. We have Gerner with a couple of assists and 3 goals. Melvin with 2 and 2. And then Paulina Lewandowska with 2 assists and a goal. A few others with 1 or 2 points of their own. But really spread out amongst the full squad. So the Iceni D line taking the field. Jinx O line hoping this will be the last point they have to play in this game. We'll see if that comes to bear. Huge pull there. Landing just outside the end zone. Meliga centers. That looks like Paulina Lewandowska again at the back with Gerner. Those two, as I said, developing quite the partnership so far in this game. A nice over-the-top shot from Meliga to Liebert. Gerner up rushes for the return pass, and Sarah Melvin to Paulina Lewandowska. It could be the Eurostars tour. It's not. It's the Elite Invite. That's Jinx. 15-11 over Iceni. Game 1 of the season done for Jinx. They'll be happy seeing some of those new kind of partnerships develop on the field, seeing their D-line generate lots of pressure. I'm sure Iceni will be happy with the way they started. A really strong first half, going in 8-7 up. Had a little bit of a dip just after half with the O-line struggling to convert, but with reinforcements on their way, I'm sure they'll be looking to continue to improve over the course of the day and the weekend. Thanks so much for joining us here, folks. We'll leave these teams to discuss Spirit. I will see you all very soon. Continue to tune in to the streams. Continue to support these incredible athletes, and enjoy the rest of your Friday and your weekend. Thanks, folks.